Once, scientific discoveries were few and far between. No longer. Now, the world's body of scientific knowledge grows larger every day, and the pace of discovery is growing even faster. The fragments of information so critical to the development of everything from new medicines to new fuels flow together into a virtual sea of scientific data that is wide and deep and seemingly endless. But what of the scientists who seek that one bit of information upon which their work depends, that single drop in this ocean of knowledge? What do? To whom do they turn? They turn here, to the people of CAS, Chemical Abstract Service, a division of the American Chemical Society. CAS is recognized as the world's most comprehensive information resource for chemistry and related sciences. Its reputation for thoroughness, accuracy, and dependability has been over 100 years in the making. While the first Chemical Abstracts was published in January 1907, its roots can be traced back to 1895 and the founding of a publication known as the Review of American Chemical Research. Edited by Arthur A. Noyes of MIT, the review was initially published as part of the MIT Research Quarterly. In 1897, it began to be published as a supplement to the Journal of the American Chemical Society. Later, the review was enlarged under the editorial direction of Arthur Noyes' cousin, William, who, in 1907, decided a completely separate publication was warranted. Chemical Abstracts was born, with William Noyes as its editor. In its first year, CA published fewer than 12,000 abstracts, a significant number for the times, but one that is dwarfed by the more than 1 million comparable items published in 2006. Originally, the new Chemical Abstracts was published at the U.S. Bureau of Standards in Washington, D.C. The offices were later moved to the University of Illinois. Then, in 1909, a new editor took over, Austin Patterson. At the invitation of the head of the Ohio State University Chemistry Department, Patterson moved the Chemical Abstracts operation to Columbus, where it has been ever since. The CA offices would remain on the OSU campus for 56 years. They were housed in a variety of locations, including McPherson Chemical Laboratory, which was home to Chemical Abstracts from 1928 to 1955. For the first few decades, all work was done by hand. The CA staff used index cards to edit and index information for Chemical Abstracts publications. Over the years, millions of cards were used. Even in its early days, CA's editorial operations were global in nature, and over its 100-year history, thousands of volunteer abstractors from dozens of countries around the world have contributed to building Chemical Abstracts in print. With so many pieces of information being handled by so many different people, it was essential from the beginning that CA personnel follow well-defined work processes. E.J. Crane, who became CA's editor in 1915, is credited with establishing the standards for thoroughness and accuracy that were critical to the development of the publication.
See the USA in your Chevrolet.
By 1955, Chemical Abstracts was growing rapidly. A new building was constructed on the Ohio State campus to house the operation. Today, it is known as Watts Hall. 1 year after moving in, CA became an operational division of the American Chemical Society, and its name was officially changed to Chemical Abstract Service. In 1958, CAS entered a new era. E.J. Crane, whose leadership had established Chemical Abstracts as the gold standard for secondary information services, retired after more than 40 years at the organization's helm. He was succeeded by a visionary new director named Dale Baker, who would lead CAS for nearly 3 decades. Baker saw the full potential of the organization. He guided it through a period of unprecedented expansion and modernization, which included the introduction of computerization, and during which CAS formed critical relationships with other information organizations around the world. As CAS moved into this new era of growth and innovation, it also moved into a new home, relocating from the OSU campus to a new headquarters constructed on a 50-acre site north of the university. A second building was added in 1973. From its new headquarters, CAS helped pioneer a number of new technologies that would revolutionize how information was produced. It was one of the first organizations anywhere to begin using computer-assisted printing. Information could be taken directly from CAS databases and turned into electronic files. Using the newly developed photocomposition technology, CAS could then make the data available in a variety of media, from printed materials to microforms to magnetic tape for use by the large mainframe computers of the day. Still, CAS's greatest innovation of the era would prove to be the development of the CAS Chemical Registry System. Today, it is the world's largest and most timely database of chemical substance information. To create the registry, CAS perfected the use of something called connection tables, which made it possible to generate a computer-readable description of a substance's molecular structure. By assigning a unique CAS registry number to each molecular structure, the registry makes it possible to identify and track every chemical substance by an easily readable number rather than by its long, complicated, and sometimes confusing chemical name. Today, the CAS registry number is the globally accepted standard for defining and describing chemical substances. The result is a chemical registry that now contains over 32 million organic and inorganic substances and 59 million sequences. About 12,000 new entries are added to the registry every day. The registry has become an invaluable tool used in chemical research, the development of health and safety information, and the communication of chemical data in a wide variety of media. As the amount of chemical information continued to grow, CAS continued coming up with innovative ways to store the data and make it accessible to those who needed it.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable!
In 1980, it launched CAS Online, which gave users direct computer access to the CAS chemical registry and made it possible for them to see a visual reproduction of a substance's molecular structure by using a computer terminal. Later that decade, online access to CAS databases became available on a global scale, as CAS joined with the German information organization Fitz Karlsruhe to launch STN, the Scientific and Technical Information Network. With the creation of CAS Online, Chemical Abstracts renewed its long-standing tradition of welcoming user input. User councils were established in 1983 for North America, Europe, and Japan to ensure that information users around the world could offer their opinions and advice to CAS. The technology that made it possible for CAS to provide information online meant its databases could be accessed and searched more quickly. But it had a downside. Because it was complicated and required the understanding and use of computer languages, usually only specially trained information librarians could use it. The days when the printed Chemical Abstracts publications sat right on the top of a desk, within arm's reach of the working scientist, were gone. The data was now one step removed from the very people who relied on it. But all that was about to change.
Roger, Houston. Hubble is go for power-up.
In 1992, Robert J. Massey became director of CAS. His idea was to create a variety of products or information services designed to meet specific customer needs and to make the new services as user-friendly as possible. SciFinder, introduced in 1995, was a major breakthrough. It gave scientists direct access to CAS databases with no need to learn a command language. SciFinder changed the way scientists conduct research and once more put Chemical Abstracts data on the desktops of scientists everywhere. 2 years later, ChemPort was introduced, harnessing the power of the web to make it possible for researchers to access the full text of journal articles and patents located through online searching. As the world moved into the 21st century, the demand for scientific information continued to grow, and Chemical Abstracts responded. With the increased capacity of a new state-of-the-art data center added in 2001, CAS broadened, enriched, and expanded its databases, delivering the most timely content ever, and providing more scientists and companies around the globe with access to the data they need for more thorough analysis and better decision-making. Every day, CAS scientists working behind the walls of these unpretentious buildings along the Olentangy River in Columbus perform a vital service that advances the cause of science around the world and keeps CAS the global leader in chemical and chemistry-related information. The CAS staff regularly reviews more than 9,500 scientific journals and reports, amounting to over 1 million individual documents each year. But as remarkable are the accomplishments of the past, it will take even greater achievements to meet the challenges of the future. Going forward, CAS will work to establish its databases as the superset of chemical information. It will reach out to new sources to capture substances disclosed outside of traditional publications. CAS also will strengthen its coverage and reporting of patent information. And CAS will explore more deeply the growing amount of scientific information coming from such major emerging new scientific sources as China. Where will science go in the future? It's hard to even imagine what discoveries and developments await. But one thing is certain. Wherever science goes, CAS will be there, providing fast and easy access to the information science needs to keep on going. And as they have for 100 years, the people of Chemical Abstract Service will continue to be devoted and responsible stewards of this immeasurable and invaluable store of data that is and will continue to be one of the world's foremost resources of scientific information.